So one of the neighborhoods up at the North Pole, guys, that you've seen in a lot of my videos back when I was free out there is Edgewater. Edgewater is not East Rogers Park, but it's part of the same general area, especially when it comes to like gang conflicts and stuff like that. But the violence in that neighborhood this year has exceeded the violence in that neighborhood in the past 2 years combined. And some of this stuff appears to be like random, but there was a very disturbing incident that just took place over there not too long ago. A young man, well, not a young man, boy, 13-year-old boy named Ashawn Davis was killed over there, and the circumstances surrounding his death are really mysterious. So officials say that they were unable to determine exactly what happened in an Edgewater apartment when this 13-year-old boy suffered a fatal gunshot wound. So he died from multiple gunshot wounds. And this was determined by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, but the manner of his death has been recorded as undetermined, meaning investigators were unable to conclude whether he shot himself or someone else shot him. Now, here's the thing. If it's multiple gunshot wounds, to me, that would immediately rule out it being himself, right? Because, okay, you shoot yourself, you're immediately going to lose the ability to shoot yourself again, right? I mean, you're going to, depending on where you shoot yourself, but I've literally never heard, even in a suicide attempt or whatever it might be, of a person shooting themselves multiple times. Okay, you shoot yourself once, you fall down, and you're not going to shoot yourself again. But anyways, this is a very weird category, undetermined. That's in quotations. It's one of four manners of death that the medical examiner assigns. The other three are homicide, accidental, and suicide. So Chicago police responded to an apartment in the Edgewater neighborhood around 8:18 p.m. back on August 11th, and they found Ashawn with a gunshot wound to his head. Now, if you shoot yourself in the head, how do you shoot yourself again? Now, maybe that was the second gunshot wound, but still, I mean, that if the first gunshot was to the head, then it's completely impossible that he shot himself. So investigators discovered that several other males, primarily teenage boys, were present in the room at the time of the shooting. At least one person told police that Ashawn had shot himself, but investigators did not find a gun at the scene. Okay, so if he shot himself in the head, you're telling me he tossed the gun after he had just shot himself in the head? So, anyways, investigators didn't find a gun. There was one shell casing recovered and a bullet hole in the ceiling. So, his uncle, who founded the House of Hope Foundation, which is an organization that works to prevent violence in the city, said he was a kid with bad surroundings, so I put him in my foundation. He said he was not a perfect adolescent, but he wasn't a bad kid. So his mother told the paper that Ashawn was named after his uncle. She said that she and Ashawn moved to Iowa a few years ago to get away from Chicago's violence. Iowa, I mean, in general, as a state, that's a pretty safe spot, right? But she said they moved back to be closer to family. So this is one thing that I could go off on a long tangent about, because this is a phenomenon of migration that we've been seeing over the past 20 years in Chicago. I talked about the Great Migration of Black families from the South in the early part of the 20th century, so like almost 120 years ago now. That's now over the past 20 years, you saw a reverse of the Great Migration, and we're still seeing that. It's still continuing. Black families are moving from Chicago back to the South and also to other parts of the Midwest. They're leaving Chicago. Mostly, they say, to get away from the violence. So they had left the South in a time when there was just a lot of very extreme violent racism going on in the southern states. Slavery had only been over for about one generation, and there was just a lot of terrible things going on in the South. So they left. Now, that was about 120 years ago. There's definitely still racism, but the situation is vastly different than it was in 1900. So a lot of them are returning, something that we've been seeing in the numbers. We're talking about the hundreds of thousands, starting around 2000 up until about now. You see it with people. I mean, as soon as they get money, like any celebrity, they get money, they leave. So she had left and gone to Iowa, which is a very safe spot, but then came back to be with family. So nobody's charging his death as of now, like nobody. As far as the questioning that they're doing or the forensics investigation, I don't know. But, I mean, we have a teen that's dead, and we have other teens that were there. Nobody's in jail. It hasn't been ruled a suicide. And I had a very close family member that died under these very similar circumstances. Was found with a gunshot wound to the head. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section, though, man. Where should they turn next with the investigation of Ashawn Davis? Because for this to happen after he came back to Chicago from Iowa, and right now I'm giving the benefit of the doubt and calling it an accident until, we find out what happened. But we may never find out what happened. But anybody that knows what happened, I mean, should probably come forward because, anybody that was in there with him may have seen what happened. I'm not saying they did, but they may have seen what happened. I don't know how a person shoots themselves multiple times and then there's no gun at the scene. Like, I just don't know how that happens. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section, though, man. And I'm not blaming the teens because it could be some crazy stuff. Somebody could have came in and took the gun and, tossed it to someone that was not involved in it. So that's just a disclaimer. But I think there needs to be a much longer investigation into this. You guys let me know what you think. R.I.P. Ashawn Davis. Your boy Chicago News. I'm out.